morning, I'm Kenneth Moten.
And I'm Janae Norman. Here are the top 5 things to know this Wednesday. Number 1, storms are making Thanksgiving travel a nightmare. Winter storm warnings are stretching from California to Michigan this morning, with heavy snow hitting Minneapolis and strong winds slamming the Chicago area. Meanwhile, heavy winds in the forecast for New York tomorrow could keep the Macy's parade balloons on the ground. Number 2, the impeachment battle in Washington.
President Trump claims he never asked Rudy Giuliani to go to Ukraine, even though the transcript of his phone call shows he repeatedly told Ukraine's president to speak with Giuliani. The New York Times reports the president released military aid to Ukraine only after he learned about a whistleblower complaint.
In the meantime, the next phase of the impeachment inquiry is set to get underway next week, moving from the House Intelligence Committee to the Judiciary Committee, which is tasked with writing articles of impeachment. On to number 3, Senator Elizabeth Warren takes a plunge in a new poll amid growing concern about her Medicare for All plan.
Warren has dropped 14% in the last month, according to a nationwide Quinnipiac poll. Former Vice President Joe Biden is now back in the lead. Mayor Pete Buttigieg has jumped into second place. And we head to Duke for number 4.
The Blue Devils lost to Stephen F. Austin State University in overtime. It is the first time Duke has lost at home to a non-conference opponent in 19 years. Big news there. And finally, number 5, let the calorie counting begin.
Estimates say Americans will take up to 4,000 calories on Thanksgiving, and that's not counting the booze.
Oh ho ho, eat up.
Good morning, everyone. That's our question of the day. How many calories do you plan to eat tomorrow? Because I'm pretty sure you're going to have the calculator out. You're going to go, okay, so the turkey is this, the fried this is this.
Adding up your points.
And then, okay.
How many plates are you going to go back for? How many slices of pie?
Oh, my God, we need...
Plus the cake.
So many slices.
Ice cream? I don't know.
Cake. Let us know in the comments or tweet us at ABC News Live.
All right. In the meantime, let's get to the big story this morning. A flat denial from President Trump looking to distance himself from the Ukraine scandal and his own attorney.
The president now claims he never directed Rudy Giuliani to go to Ukraine to dig up dirt on former Vice President Joe Biden. Meanwhile, sources now say the president released military aid to Ukraine only after he was told about a whistleblower complaint.
ABC's Mona Kosar-Abdi has new details on where the investigation goes from here. Mona, good morning.
Good morning, Janae. Good morning to you, Kenneth. Following 2 weeks of dramatic hearings by the House Intelligence Committee, the House Judiciary Committee will now take over the impeachment probe. This is Intelligence Chairman Adam Schiff says that his panel will likely have a report after the Thanksgiving break. While Congress remains on Thanksgiving break, Democrats are already preparing for a busy December in the impeachment inquiry. Once lawmakers return, it is the House Judiciary Committee that will take center stage. Chairman Jerry Nadler writing that on December 4th, the panel will hold its first hearing in the probe to, quote, discuss the historical and constitutional basis of impeachment. This comes on the heels of 2 weeks worth of high-profile hearings involving current and former government officials, including this admission from EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland.
Was there a quid pro quo? The answer is yes.
Nadler's letter addressed to President Trump also reminds him he and his legal team are welcome to participate.
Think of this. Impeachment. That's really bull.
As the president dismissed the probe at his rally in Florida, in an interview with Bill O'Reilly, the president seemingly distanced himself from his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani.
So you didn't direct him to go to Ukraine to do anything or put any heat on him?
No, I didn't direct him, but he is a warrior. Rudy's a warrior. Rudy went. He possibly saw something, but you have to understand, Rudy has other people that he represents.
No, I know.
The president also making light of the situation during the annual White House Thanksgiving turkey pardon.
They've already received subpoenas to appear in Adam Schiff's basement on Thursday.
Meanwhile, the New York Times is reporting that President Trump was aware of the whistleblower complaint when he released military aid to Ukraine, which is a crucial aspect of the Ukraine scandal timeline. Janae and Kenneth.
All right, Mona, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
And support for impeaching President Trump is holding steady after 2 weeks of public hearings.
A new CNN poll shows 50% of Americans want the president impeached and removed from office. That number unchanged from last month. Broken down by party, 10% of Republicans are in favor of impeachment compared to 47% of independents and 90% of Democrats.
The White House and U.S. Capitol were briefly on lockdown yesterday morning.
Officials say an unauthorized aircraft entered the restricted airspace near Washington. First reports said that NORAD had scrambled its jets, then just sending a Coast Guard helicopter. No unauthorized aircraft was found. It may only have been a flock of birds.
And the anonymous author behind a scathing book about the Trump presidency is vowing to come out of the shadows, saying they will not be shrouded in secrecy forever. The mystery person, claiming to be a current or former senior administration official, took questions on Reddit last night, writing, quote, "Trump will hear from me in my own name before the 2020 election." They questioned the president's mental fitness and accused him of abusing his power with regularity. Many had criticized the author for staying anonymous.
All right, let's turn now to the severe storms battering much of the country during the busiest travel time of the year.
More than 100 million Americans in 32 states are under some kind of weather alert because of two powerful storm systems. One storm right now is dumping several inches of snow in Minnesota and Wisconsin.
And as Thanksgiving dinner nears, a storm being called historic is bearing down on the West Coast. This morning, severe weather making Thanksgiving travel treacherous.
All this weather is kind of fouling things up.
Winter storm warnings are stretching from California to Michigan, some of them lasting until Friday. Overnight in the Midwest, a winter whiteout in the Twin Cities, where up to a foot of snow is possible before it ends this afternoon. Parts of the Colorado Rockies are digging out from feet of snow dumped by the same storm.
Woke up and thought I'd take a chance, but no dice. It's just too dicey, and thank God they closed the roads.
On the West Coast, an even stronger storm is sweeping off the Pacific Ocean, bringing hurricane-force winds. It's expected to be a record-setting system called a bomb cyclone, meaning it will intensify at an unusually rapid rate.
Up to 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. It means 1 to 2 inches of rain in Southern California. Some of those recent burn scars, we could see mudslides and debris flow. This thing moves across the nation, and that second storm could impact our weekend as everyone tries to get home.
Near Spokane, Washington, snow and ice is to blame for this massive pileup on an interstate involving up to 70 vehicles. With rain on the way in Southern California, thousands of people have been allowed back home in Santa Barbara after a wind-whipped wildfire forced them to flee. Wind is also the big story on the East Coast, where tomorrow's Macy's parade is in jeopardy because of heavy wind in the forecast. Organizers saying it will be a, quote, game day decision on whether the balloons will fly. Back in Colorado, this snowboarder making the best of the bad weather. But with an estimated 55 million Americans hitting the road and the skies today, it won't be all fun and games.
Yeah, so you got to be careful out there. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of cuckoo birds out there.
The storm on the West Coast is already blamed for thousands of power outages in California.
Some other stories we're watching this morning: the number of lettuce-related E. coli cases around the country is increasing. The CDC says it has confirmed 27 more infections. That brings the total to 67 cases in 19 states. Some of the victims have developed kidney failure. Officials say all of the cases have been linked to romaine lettuce grown in Salinas, California. The CDC is advising consumers not to eat and retailers not to sell romaine from the region.
A New Jersey hospital is apologizing for an incredible mix-up. Doctors in Camden put a transplanted kidney into the wrong person last week. It was supposed to go to a patient with the identical name and about the same age. The correct person eventually received a kidney. The hospital says it has taken steps to make sure the mistake is not repeated in the future.
In Colombia, protesters and security forces squared off in the capital city of Bogota. The latest battle followed talks between the country's president and organizers looking to end a week of violent demonstrations. Protesters want the government to do more to fight inequality, corruption, and violence in rural areas. A national strike is set for today.
And check out this amazing rescue in southern Michigan. This is body cam video that captures a sheriff's deputy pulling a man from a burning van near Lansing. Deputy Chris Burton sprays the vehicle you see there with a fire extinguisher. He then yanks open the door, finds a driver inside, and pulls him by his arm to safety. Both Deputy Burton and the driver were treated for smoke inhalation.
Good work there. And coming up, the NFL player sidelined during a game by an anxiety attack. He's talking about how his team is helping him pull through.
But first, an ABC News exclusive, an elite mountain climber describes her terrifying fall at Yosemite and how she was rescued. We are back with the elite climber who's speaking out this morning after surviving a terrifying fall in Yosemite National Park.
Emily Harrington lost her grip and tumbled down El Capitan, a vertical rock formation. But another legend in the sport was in the right place at the right time to save her life. This morning, a champion climber bruised and battered, but thankful to be alive.
All in all, I think I got pretty lucky.
So, injury to the left elbow. Yep. Injury to the left leg.
Emily Harrington survived what could have been a fatal fall after climbing up the first 150 feet on Yosemite's treacherous granite rock face known as El Capitan.
I can feel everything.
Suddenly, in the middle of her climb, Harrington says she lost her grip and tumbled down the cliff. She describes pinballing down with a rope lashing her neck.
I think in my head it was just kind of like, okay, I'm falling, this is happening. And then I don't remember the impact. I don't remember what happened after that. I just remember being on the end of the rope and my partner being there with me, and I remember knowing that I was injured.
That's the worst hold on the entire route, so you get maybe half your thumb on the hold.
Alex Honnold was the first to help Harrington. He's a world-renowned rock climber and star of the 2018 Oscar-winning documentary Free Solo. Honnold was part of a group supporting Harrington's attempt to do something no other woman has done before. Free climbed a 3,200-foot granite wall in one day. During her rescue, Honnold kept Harrington alert with stories as Yosemite search and rescue experts painstakingly climbed up and pulled her to safety. This morning, Harrington says it will take time, but she plans to climb again.
I will be back to Yosemite probably in the spring, but I am going to rest and recover, and then I'm going to look forward to the spring.
And good news this morning, Harrington is feeling well enough to visit her family for Thanksgiving. Well, let's turn now to Russia, where an American teacher released after being held in prison for nearly 2 years is at risk of going back to jail on drug charges over a cleaning product he bought that was banned in Russia. Let's go across the pond to Julia McFarland in our London bureau for more. Julia, good morning. So we've covered this case before. Give us a reminder here.
Yeah, so this is a story that ABC News has covered in quite some detail. Just the backstory to it. Galen Grandstaff, he's a 52-year-old English teacher. He's originally from Texas, but he moved to Moscow where he lives with his wife. And a couple of years ago, he was charged by police over drug offenses after he bought a cleaning product online. Now, there is a catalogue of issues and discrepancies with this case. An ABC News documentary found that there were signs police were manufacturing parts of the case against him. They also detailed his mistreatment in prison. In the just under 2 years that he was held in prison in Moscow, he was kept in grim conditions. He was isolated, he was harassed, he was denied medical attention, and he was attacked by his inmates. Now, less than 0.5% of all criminal cases in Russia end in acquittal, according to a Russian legal rights group. But in March this year, he was unexpectedly released by the judge after the judge found that there were some issues with the prosecution. Now, he was unexpectedly released, but we are waiting to see if his release is to be upheld. There is a chance that he could go back to prison, unfortunately.
All right, and let's move on to Israel, where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing corruption charges, but that's not stopping his supporters from rallying to his cause.
Yeah, so around 5,000 supporters of the embattled Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gathered in Tel Aviv in support of him. A couple of really interesting things about the rally. Notably, a lot of his Likud colleagues were absent for this rally. Netanyahu himself did not attend the event, but then neither did a lot of his colleagues in his party, and a lot of analysts are interpreting that as a sign that he could be facing some issues within his party. He is facing a possible rebellion. Now, remember that Israel already went to the polls in April this year and then again in September, and it's now looking like Israel may have to go to a third election. Why? Because no party won outright, although Prime Minister Netanyahu's party has won the majority of seats. Only just it does not have the support of enough parties to form a coalition government, and talks to try and build a coalition government have ended in stalemate. At the moment, Israel is in the final 21-day period for the 120-seat Knesset to rally behind any one candidate. That's either Netanyahu or his main rival, Benny Gantz. At the moment, nothing has happened, so it's looking like the country is barreling towards, like I say, its third election. Now, the issue for Netanyahu is that the Attorney General has charged him on charges of fraud, bribery and breach of trust. He disputes those charges. He says this is part of a coup against him, but it is looking increasingly bad for his electoral chances.
And a sad report, Julia, out of Thailand this morning. A deer has been found dead in a national park with apparently 15 pounds of trash in its stomach.
Yeah, this is a really sad story. This is in a national park in Thailand, and officials say that they found the male deer a couple of days ago, and after forensic investigations, they found that it had a huge amount of rubbish in its stomach. As you say, 15 pounds. It included rubber gloves, instant noodles, a small towel, and a park official said the deer had been eating plastic for a long time before it died. Now, this is a very, very poignant example to illustrate the depth of Thailand's plastic problem. They use 75 billion pieces of plastic bags are thrown away each year. That's just plastic bags in Thailand. And of course, Thailand is a country that imports a lot of plastic waste from the West as well. But if you have ever been to Southeast Asia, I just got back from Indonesia, and you can see there is a huge, huge amount of disposable plastic in that part of the world, and that has so many problems for the environment, particularly marine pollution as well. But one big issue is that a lot of these countries, they do import plastic waste from the West, and often with very tragic circumstances like this, it really impacts the wildlife there.
Yeah, you see these scenes, it's so disturbing. I know there was one case where someone found a piece of trash in really one of the deepest parts of the ocean here on the globe, and when you find trash in the Mariana Trench, it's pretty stunning. And
it's serious. It's serious. I have some good news, though. When I went to Bali a couple of months ago, what they are trying to do on the island is they're trying to ban the use of plastic bags. And actually, you've dug at me for this before, but I spent a couple of weeks there this summer. I didn't see any plastic straws on the whole island. They're using bamboo straws. They're using metal straws, and there's a very visible sort of effort to try and finally tackle that plastic issue. So hopefully that can be replicated throughout Southeast Asia, which really does have a really serious plastic waste problem.
I knew that holiday would do you some good at some point, and really do all of us some good.
Always have my journalism radar on.
Yes, we appreciate that. All right, Julia, thank you so much.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Hey, so I guess you got to school me for a second. Thanksgiving, that's not your thing, right?
No, we don't really celebrate it. Although Black Friday is something that's coming across to this side of the pond, which is weird because we're starting to get Black Friday, but no one really celebrates Thanksgiving here.
I do know.
I'm going to cook a pumpkin pie. I'm actually going to try and cook a pumpkin pie this year. So
Nice.
I'll let you know how that goes.
And the reason of course, I know the history of Thanksgiving, but I just thought that maybe there was one that you guys adopted over there on your side of the pond.
Absolutely not.
So
I can say it is definitely not something that is translated.
No stuffing for you? No green beans?
No, we go mental over Christmas. Hey, macaroni cheese and Thanksgiving. That's something I didn't know existed until very recently.
Wow. I'm glad we could educate you on that then.
What is festive about macaroni cheese, Kenneth?
Because it's good, it's full of carbs, it's comfort food, and it's a staple for Thanksgiving feast.
Well, I may try that, but I'm gonna try and cook my very first pumpkin pie, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Stay away from the mac and cheese though, because you need several years of experience and some references before you make a mac and cheese the right way. Hey, thank you, Julia.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Let's check our notifications now, starting with the special hotline that will be very busy over the next few hours for the Thanksgiving holiday. Operators are standing by at Butterball's Turkey Talk Line, 1-800-BUTTERBALL. The service takes 100,000 calls from confused cooks from the start of November until Christmas each year. The highest volume is expected tomorrow. The line is open from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. And next to a little girl upset that Amazon's Alexa yelled at her. That's little 5-year-old Daisy there. She went running into her bedroom, crying to her mother after Alexa allegedly yelled at her for questioning a Taylor Swift song. Yeah. Lauren, Daisy's mother, was shocked when the daughter came running in. Daisy said that she actually asked Alexa to play Taylor Swift, but the virtual assistant refused the request. Apparently, Alexa's refusal was a bit too loud and harsh for Daisy, reducing the youngsters to tears. And in a viral interview, Papa John's founder says the company isn't producing the same product since he stepped down as chairman. John Snatter tells a Louisville TV station he's had 40 pizzas in the last 30 days. And, quote, "It's not the same pizza." He also said the drop in quality means customers suffer. Snatter resigned last year after using the N-word on a diversity training conference call. 40 pizzas in 30 days. It's a lot of pizza. And Philadelphia Eagles All-Pro guard Brandon Brooks is opening up about being forced to leave Sunday's game because of an anxiety attack. He's now shining a new spotlight on a disorder that millions of Americans struggle with every day. Will Gans has that story.
I was thrown up on the sideline between the two drives. The first one I went out there and played, and when I sat down, I was just thrown up on the sideline, until the guys would go back out there.
Brandon Brooks, offensive lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles, sidelined by severe anxiety. The 6'5", 335-pound starting guard forced to leave Sunday's game against the Seahawks early.
When my team needed me, I wasn't there. And, I had a handle on it for, 2.5 years now. And
before Sunday, Brooks hadn't missed a game for anxiety-related illnesses since 2016. It was then that he began taking proactive measures to better handle his anxiety, including therapy and medication. Brooks, writing in a tweet, "Make no mistake, I'm not ashamed or embarrassed by this, nor would I go through daily. I've had this under control for a couple of years and had a setback yesterday." But his coach and team are behind him.
This is serious, and it's something that he battles with, battles this every single day, and does a great job, managing that.
Brandon adding that several other NFL players have let him know that they struggle too.
It's been a lot of guys around the league who reached out to me, about it. It's a lot more guys than you guys can imagine, to be honest.
While the Eagles initially said Brooks left Sunday's game due to just an illness, the NFL star explains why he took the time to clarify that it was in fact anxiety.
For people out there who, are scared to get help, or who, feel embarrassed or ashamed to go through any type of mental illness.
Brooks, just the latest high-profile name tackling the stigma surrounding mental health. Celebrities like Selena Gomez, Stephen Colbert, and Lady Gaga also using their platform to raise awareness.
1 in 4 people in the world suffer from mental illness.
Sharing their story with the same goal in mind.
Just letting them know that, it can be okay, and, some things can be prevented, if you get the help, at some of the earlier signs.
The ADAA reports that anxiety disorders are highly treatable, yet only 37% of people suffering from them receive treatment. Brandon hopes he can change that by sharing his story, which is something that Summer Walker also just did, the singer announcing on Instagram that she needed to cancel some tour dates due to her social anxiety, and it is really good that they are bringing awareness to this issue. And coming up, we'll tell you what to watch out for from the presidential candidates today. Plus, if you're looking for a way to keep Thanksgiving relaxed this year, one marijuana company wants to help. More after this.
Here's what to watch out for today. Democrats running for president are on the campaign trail in Iowa. Senator Kamala Harris is scheduled to attend the launch of Teachers for Kamala and prepare for Thanksgiving dinner.
Senator Amy Klobuchar will attend a House party and hold events in 2 counties. And Senator Cory Booker will participate in a roundtable and community service project before attending a Thanksgiving in Des Moines.
In South Carolina, newcomer to the race, former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick will attend a faith leaders roundtable and have lunch at Trinity Baptist Church in Columbia. And Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard is set to hold a town hall meeting in Rochester, New Hampshire.
Overseas, demonstrators in Colombia have vowed to hold a new national strike after talks there could not come to an agreement. Today's strike comes nearly a week after 250,000 Colombians marched in one of the nation's largest ever protests.
And back here at home, the balloons for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade will be inflated this afternoon. It's still too early to tell whether they will be allowed to fly, as high winds are in the forecast. A police official calls it a game day decision.
Plus, don't forget to tune into the debrief for an update on all our top stories in the briefing room for a breakdown of the latest headlines in politics.
And finally this morning, if you're a marijuana enthusiast looking for that special touch to your Thanksgiving feast and you live in a state where it's legal, you're in luck.
A marijuana company is selling a weed-infused gravy.
That's a way to get the family to enjoy time
that
together.
Should be so yum. You're going to mellow out. Don't talk the politics.
Laugh,
or if you do talk the politics,
giggle.
Just drink some gravy.
There you go.
And speaking of gravy, we hope that you have a great Thanksgiving.
We hope your travels are all gravy.
Oh, that's good.
Good luck out there.
We're going to leave you on that note. Have a good one. We'll be back Monday.